Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Lauren Javari here with Jared Smith. Jared, you have been trekking all across the US of A. Please tell me, which city are you in right now?
I'm in Chicago right now.
Okay.
Yesterday was a long trip from Jersey City all the way to Chicago. It was about a 13-hour drive. Stopped in State College in my old stomping grounds. Had breakfast at the Waffle Shop, which was delicious. And then for dinner
Love the
last night
Waffle
in
Shop.
Chicago. Oh, the Waffle Shop is
Okay.
tremendous, the original. And then for dinner last night, so I have a few friends in Chicago, obviously. You know, it's a popular city. I asked what was the best pizza joint in town. I've never had a real slice of Chicago deep dish. And so where I was staying near the Social
You've
Field
never
area,
had
everyone
deep dish
told me,
pizza before?
not in Chicago, like the real deal. Like I've had deep dish pizza in other places, but I've never been to Chicago before. It's my first time. And so I got Lou Malnati. And I have two questions for you, Miss Lauren Angibar.
Yeah, let's hear
First
it.
of all, deep dish pizza, thoughts, yay or nay? Second, cold pizza for breakfast. For example, like this Lou Malnati's cold slice that's been sitting in my fridge all day or all night. I'm excited to eat this for breakfast. While I take a bite, what are your thoughts on deep dish and cold pizza?
Oh my God, that actually looks so good. But I will say, deep dish pizza is lasagna. It's not pizza. Second of all, Detroit style pizza is the best style of pizza. I honestly, deep dish pizza makes me sick because there's so much cheese in it. But cold pizza, absolutely. Like 1000% cold pizza is my
delicious
jam.
Sausage too on this too. So a little breakfast meat to go along with the
You're
cheese
literally
and the
eating
sauce.
Though a bag of just cheese. You're eating a bag of cheese.
Yes.
That's what
and
a
bread
deep dish
and
pizza
butter.
is. So
and
good.
Garlic.
It's so good.
You know, it's funny about Detroit
Yeah,
pizza.
Lou Malnati's is great.
So in Vegas, I did have Detroit style pizza once in Michigan. It wasn't in Detroit. I think it was right outside of Detroit. But in Vegas, I heard there is a really good Detroit style pizza place. So when I get to Vegas,
where is that at? Let me know next time I'm there.
I don't know the name of it yet. I've been told that there's a really good Detroit style pizza place. Because obviously the one, pressure point for me leaving New York, I am deathly afraid of pizza being awful in Vegas. Because in New York, I'm spoiled.
No, honestly, Detroit style pizza does measure up to New York style pizza. Don't at me for that.
I'm excited. I'm gonna try it when I get out there, and I'll let you know. Again, Detroit style pizza. It's been so long, I don't really remember what it was like. So very excited though. Pizza, yes, Justin. Pizza at 9 a.m. I can eat pizza 24/7. I don't care what time of day it is. It's delicious. Absolutely.
Honestly,
delicious.
so can
I'm
I.
a pizza snob.
So can I.
Delicious.
Pizza, I consider myself a pepperoni pizza connoisseur of sorts.
Love it.
I didn't go to like sommelier school or anything for it, but I just have a taste
You go to
for
pepperoni
the
school?
pizza. Yes, pepperoni school. And I will say that Detroit style pizza is my favorite. New York style is obviously my second favorite. Deep dish is like bottom of the bottom for me because it is lasagna. It is not pizza. And I will stand by that until the day
I was skeptical
that I die. Okay.
I've been skeptical on deep dish for years, but this was pretty good. The crust held up. It was crispy. It had, a nice texture to it, and the topping sausage was perfect. It was layered on top. Like, I don't think I'd want to eat this every time I get pizza, but not bad.
It's good every now and then. Good every now and then. Yeah. We have a lot to talk about today. First of all, MLB, we have Is the Trend Your Friend? We have YRFI, NRFI. We have our picks for the day. And then we get the pleasure of being joined by Lance Moore, Super Bowl champion, to preview the NFC South season, win totals, etc., and what to expect from that division. So I'm really looking forward to getting into it. Without further ado, as you're eating your pizza, cleaning your face off a little bit.
No, I'll save the rest for after the show.
Let's bet it. Perfect. That sounds good. Yeah. 9 a.m. is a little bit too early for a full slice of deep dish pizza, but it's okay. So let's start it off with Is the Trend Your Friend? First one, I'm looking at the Dodgers money line against the Padres. The Dodgers 7-0 at home in their last 7 against NL West teams. This is going to be a huge series for both of those teams.
Yeah, and it's funny because the Dodgers just made mincemeat of the Giants, who now are sub 500 on the year. My under 86.5 wins for San Francisco looking very good at this point, but that's neither here nor there. Manaea Gonsolin tonight. So Manaea's numbers are pretty shitty against the Dodgers. So yeah, I would definitely friend this trend. Not sure what the line is here. I would assume it's pretty heavily juiced towards LA. Let's take a quick look here. Dodgers right now on the money line, 55 cents over at DraftKings. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable, I would say, considering Manaea's numbers
Why
against
not?
the Dodgers are pretty bad. So yeah, give me that one. Give me the Dodgers on the money line, no doubt.
Yes, we have a friend. What about this one? Mariners, Angels, NRFI. No runs first inning. Angels, NRFI is 8-0 in the last 8 on the road against American League teams.
Let's take a look here at my NRFI sheet. So, by the way, I didn't get a chance to do a full NRFI sheet today because there's a lot of pitchers making their first start. I just don't have my setup. So for those expecting that, usually I post it after the show. It will not happen today, but we do have a NRFI that we'll give out later. Mariners, NRFI against the Angels. So this one actually does have 2 starters that I have numbers on. Sandoval and Ray. You know, their numbers are kind of 71% NRFI rate this season, which is, 70% is about average from what we've established.
Yeah.
And you're laying a big number. I'm seeing minus 145 for this NRFI between these 2 pitchers. So the numbers in terms of the data on this end says no, do not bet the NRFI. But clearly that trend says yes, bet the NRFI. I'm undecided here. Can I pass on this one?
Okay, you can pass.
I think the NRFI hits, but I think the price is just too big. If you can get a better price than minus 145, let's say you find a minus 120 out there, I would bet it. But at minus 145, I think I would pass.
Yeah, this is just an acquaintance at that point. So not a friend.
Yeah.
We're passing. It's an acquaintance. It's an acquaintance.
That's fair. I like that. I think that's a good middle ground. That's a good middle ground. I like that.
Royals money line. The Sox 0-6 in their last 6 as a favorite.
Oh, let's take a look at who the Royals have today. Oh, I know who the Royals have today because I bet I have the NRFI later. Greinke Winkowski. So Greinke's numbers, I'll be honest, Greinke's like defying Father Time a little bit with his numbers this year. And the Royals are basically a pick 'em at home. That price is pretty solid considering Greinke's numbers are pretty decent. The problem with the Royals right now is they just and we'll get to it a little later when we do the NRFI, but they just traded away Whit Merrifield, who's other than Bobby Witt Jr. is their best player. So I think that's a tough ask to bet the Royals at home. But the Red Sox are a fade too. And you know what, LJ? I trust your trend. So, yeah, I'll friend it. Greinke, even though Whit Merrifield, I'll take the Royals. We'll fade the Sox again tonight.
We got 2 friends and an acquaintance so far. 1 more to go. The Twins versus Jays. NRFI, no runs first inning. The Twins 5-0 to the NRFI in their last 5 at home.
Let's take a look here. Twins and Jays, Minnesota, Toronto.
Yeah.
Jose Barria. Oh, this is Tyler Mahley's first start with the Twins. This is a big one. This is a big deal. And not only that, oh my goodness, I didn't even notice this when I did the sheet this morning. Jose Barrios used to pitch for the Twins. What a crazy cross-pollination we've got tonight with this game. Their NRFI numbers are average this year, actually a little above average, 72% combined NRFI rate, Barrios, Mahley. That's pretty good. And you've got Barrios' revenge game against the team he, came up with, the Twins. And you've got Tyler Mahley with his first start for the Twins after being traded. Yeah, I kind of like this one. 5-0 NRFI at home. The trend backs it up. The pitchers are solid. They both have chips on their shoulders with a trade and a former team going on tonight. So I will absolutely friend this trend. Now, it's all about finding the right price. I see it OTB right now on my sheet when I did it this morning. It might be on the books now. I would be willing to lay up to like minus 120 on this one, I'd say. So, yes, absolutely befriend the trend if the price is right.
We have 3 friends and an acquaintance heading into the weekend. You love to see it. Speaking of YRFIs and NRFIs, the no runs first inning went 7-6 yesterday. They're hitting at just over a 50% rate for August so far after having a wild July. That's kind of where it's been all season. That was just about 50%. Notable streaks for you. New York Yankees, 3 straight yes runs first inning and 5 of the last 6 yes runs first inning. And Minnesota has 6 straight NRFIs. So I know you have a NRFI for your play of the day, but none for just like your regular plays here. But you do
Mm.
have a walk this way, parlay. And I don't know if you saw yesterday, Howard Bender actually printed out a
I did.
photo of
I
your
did.
face
I
and
did.
put it on a stick. And I'm like, that is terrifying, Howard. Put that down.
First of all, shout out Howard. Awesome, awesome, awesome dude. Filled in very admirably yesterday, and I appreciate
Yeah,
that. And obviously brought his own personal flavor, his own flavor of Jared. He brought it to the party. Great stuff. Yes,
literally.
I got my ass up. Actually, I literally brought a stick, a Jared on a stick, and brought it to the party. That he is a gem. I got up early today, so I've been a little cold with the walks props lately. I'll be honest. We were really hot when we started, and then we've kind of hit this cruising altitude where we've been just treading water over the last week or so. I think if I had to predict where I'm going to go with these, because there's only like 7 weeks of the season left, I would bet on less walks props, less walks parlays, and probably some more run line total money line bets as we transition now into this
Mhm.
last, sprint of the season. But for now, we will continue to dabble with the walks parlays until we completely fall off the cliff. So here you go. And full disclosure, I do have an under in this parlay. And I bet it individually too. But it's under 2.5. Josiah Gray laying 65 cents here at the Phillies today. So 58% hit rate to the under for Josiah Gray this season. 6 of the last 8 starts have stayed under. This is a guy that was walking a million dudes in the first half of the season. Second half of the season, he's kind of figured it out a little bit. And he's facing a Phillies team today that has the lowest walk rate in baseball this season against righties. And how about this number? In the last 30 days, their walk rate against right-handed starters, or right-handed pitching, period, is 4.5%. That is ridiculously low. I've never seen one below 5% in a stretch that big to include 30 days. And he has good numbers, Gray does, against the Phillies in his career. Just 4 walks in 56 career plate appearances. That's about a 7% walk rate. Not too shabby. This number should be 1.5. It's 2.5 because Josiah Gray's reputation precedes himself from early in the season. And the 2.5 should be like minus 200, I think. So at minus 165, I feel good about this one. We'll go overs for the rest of the way. Obviously, Framber Valdez. Framber is the color of our energy, as Mark Zinno would say. Over 1.5 at the Guardians today, laying just 10 cents. I like this one because he has a 70% hit rate on the season. That is a very whopping number, especially if you continue to look at the big sample size at 68%, which is the equivalent. So the 68% includes last season. That's the equivalent of minus 213 odds. And we're only laying 10% here. So just if you look at Valdez's rate, we're getting a pretty nice cushion between what the actual price is and what he's been hitting at. Now let's look at the Guardians lineup against lefties. They've been, for lack of a better word, guarding the plate pretty well. 8 of 13 Southpaw starters have gone over 1.5 walks at Progressive Field. That is a really good rate. And the recent form even better. How about this? 10 walks in the last 4 outings against lefty starters. That includes Shane McClanahan. That includes Jeffrey Springs and Jordan Montgomery, who've all had pretty good seasons, especially with their walk rate. So we'll go over 1.5 on Valdez. Finally, the late night one. I love this one. He should get to 2 or 3 easily. Patrick Sandoval laying 95 cents. It's a big number, but bear with me. 88% hit rate on the season. And he's had 10 consecutive starts over 1.5 walks. If you include last season, that hit rate is almost 80%, which is over minus 380 odds. And we're only laying 95 cents. That's a $2 gap, and I
Wow.
love it. Meanwhile, Seattle has forced 14 straight lefties to walk at least one. 16 of the last 25 have gone over 1.5. We talked about this Mariners team, very good walks team on the season, and they're even better against lefties. They have the highest overall walk rate against left-handed pitching this season at 10.7%. So I'll give it to you one more time. Josiah Gray under 2.5. I know I don't do well with unders, but I think 2.5 I feel a little better with than the 1.5. Framber Valdez over 1.5. Patrick Sandoval over 1.5, and the parlay pays plus 363. Good luck. Godspeed.
I like it. I'm actually
Walk
on
this
Patrick
way.
Sandoval a little bit later for my best bet of the day, but I'm betting it a little
Okie
bit
dokie.
differently. I am on another strikeout prop, though. Eric Lauer, over 5.5 strikeouts, and I'm only laying 2 cents for it, minus 102. He's in a really good spot against the Reds. They're striking out right now at a 29% rate against left-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks. Pham is gone. So is Naquin. I don't even know how to say his name.
Naquin.
But this lineup,
Naquin.
they're looking Naquin. Thank you. I said it right the first time.
You got it.
The lineup is looking
You
pretty
did. You
shaky,
nailed
though,
it.
without two of their best players, right? And the Reds are averaging 8.82 strikeouts per game this season. You look at Lauer, he has 35 Ks in his last 37 and 2/3 innings pitched. He just needs to make it through about 6 innings to be able to get this. And with their strikeout rate, I feel pretty good about this one and only laying 2 cents for it at the same time. I have another strikeout prop on Sandoval, just saying, for my best bet of the day, but we're going to wait until a little bit because first, we have to talk a little NFL. Yesterday, we broke down NFC South player props with Howard Bender and Andrew Cooper. Today, we bring in the one and only Super Bowl champion, Lance Moore, to break down the NFC South division win totals and what we expect to see from them. A man that knows the NFC South well, played for the Saints from 2005 to 2013. Lance, how are you?
Doing well. You guys have me up early. I'm on the West Coast, but I'm an early riser.
Oh, man.
It's great to be here with you guys.
Lance, where are you right now? I'm actually also in California right now for a wedding.
We live in San Diego.
Nice. That's awesome. I know. Well, NFL season right around the corner. It's going to be really exciting to see what transpires with the NFC South. Let's start it out, though, with the bottom of the barrel at this point. The Falcons, their win total is set at this point at 5. To win the division, 35-1 odds. They're pretty much the clear 4th team in this division this year, preparing for life without Matt Ryan for the first time since 2007. What are your expectations for them at this point before the regular season starts?
Well, I mean, that's you said it all right there. I mean, life without Matt Ryan, a guy that was there for well over a decade, a guy that was a former MVP, a guy that basically, especially last year, a team that didn't have a ton of talent around him found ways to win a few games. Arthur Smith is back. Obviously, it's his second year in the system. He brought in Marcus Mariota, who they have familiarity, because of their days back in Tennessee. But I just really don't think that this is a team that has a ton of talent that's going to be able to contest for a division championship. They're in the building phase. They drafted Desmond Ridder this year in the NFL draft. I think that he'll be the long-term answer there, but I don't think he'll be the guy this season. A defense that really wasn't very good last year. Kyle Pitts, I mean, he's the guy that kind of stood out to me last year as a guy that can be a long-term answer at the receiver or tight end position, whatever you want to call him, but a guy that's a big-time playmaker. I think he'll be, a Pro Bowl caliber player this season for them. But 5 wins is probably about right for me. If I had to go over under 5 wins, I think I would almost probably go under 5 wins for that team.
Wow.
Yeah, you definitely can't bet the division. The win total is intriguing because you would think at some point Arthur Smith is going to, utilize his offensive mind to get a little bit more out of those guys. But again, a lot of upheaval. By the way, Lance, I really appreciate you coming on today. You were this is a thrill for me. You were like my fantasy superstar back in 2008, bud. Like, honestly, I think I won the title that year because of you. An unbelievable season. So we really appreciate your insight this morning. But let's move on to a team where I don't have any fantasy players on this, especially in the quarterback position, the Carolina Panthers, with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. This is a fascinating team. And it looks like they're splitting reps in the preseason. And Lance, you've been through a lot of preseasons before. Obviously, with Drew Brees, there were no splitting of the first team reps. But in your experience, this back and forth system between these two guys, is this thing going to work? With this win total at 6.5, I don't see any value to the over unless they can figure out who their damn starting quarterback is.
Well, obviously, it has a lot to do with it. I mean, look, I was never in a situation in my career when I was in a training camp when there was an active quarterback battle going on. So I can't imagine what the other guys are feeling every single day, having a different voice in the huddle every other day, or however they're splitting those reps up. But to Carolina's credit, they kind of put all their chips on the table. They're like, hey, we have a guy that's in the last year of his deal. He's a first-round guy. We went and traded for another guy that's in the last year of his deal. He's a first-round guy. And they drafted a guy in Matt Corral. So they've got 3 quarterbacks that could potentially be their guy this year. I think Matt Corral will kind of take a back seat to these other guys because there's more of a sense of urgency when you've got guys in the last year of their contract. You've got the up close and personal look to see them first before anybody else does, obviously before they have a chance to hit free agency after this season. I think Sam Darnold will be the guy because he's the guy that's been there. I don't know that he'll be the guy the entire season. I know that Baker Mayfield's not just going to give him the job, right? I mean, they do have some weapons there in Carolina. And if Christian McCaffrey can finally stay healthy, man, I mean, they can win some games. I'm looking at that total as 6.5. I mean, that's a realistic goal. I think 7 wins is even realistic for this team because they've got some guys over there on defense. I mean, they have a defense that flies around and makes plays. They can get after the passer. If you add a healthy Christian McCaffrey in there, DJ Moore is back. I mean, they've got a chance to do some damage as far as kind of potentially ruining some team seasons or games that other teams should come in knowing that they should win, but Carolina's just going to outplay them. I trust that they've got the guys over there. I think the quarterbacks just have to come in and play solid ball. They don't have to come in and be MVP caliber players over there. But yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be interesting to see how they work the quarterback situation. But they've got talent on that team, and I think 7 wins is realistic for them.
Yeah, I kind of like it too. I look at the first 7 weeks, though. They have a tough start to the season. They have the Browns week 1, which I think is winnable with no Watson here. And then you have the Giants week 2. But then after that, Saints, Cardinals, 49ers, Rams, Bucks, Woof. That's like a tough 7-game stretch to start the season, especially those 5. Can I bet on Matt Rule being the first head coach fired in 2022? Is that possible? Or
you can make those bets.
I just don't think
those do exist.
I feel like that's a bet that I'd be willing to bet on too.
It's hard in the NFL. I mean, anybody can look at the schedule and say, "Hey, man, my team plays all these teams in the first stretch of the season. They're all good teams." Well, nobody really knows who's good yet or not, honestly. I mean, there is no guarantee from year to year that your success carries over. I mean, you have to start anew, and you don't know what's going to happen early on in those games. You could have guys get hurt. You could have suspensions. You could have all kinds of things happen, or you could just have a team that lays an egg. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Usually the really, really good teams don't, but the teams that you are expecting success from that haven't been quite as successful in the past, you don't know. You can't really make those predictions truly and honestly because there's no way to know.
That's a great follow-up. Before we get into the Saints and Bucks. No, hold on. I have a quick follow-up here, Lauren. When, as a player, you look at the schedule before the season starts, and you see those first 7 games. Let's say it's the first 4 games, and you're like, oh, crap, there's some really good teams on that. Does that impact any of your preparation in the early part of the preseason and into training camp? You're like, oh, man, we got to hit the ground running because we got 2-3 tough games out of the gate. Or is it just business as usual? You don't care who's on the schedule. You're going to continue to go about your business the same way.
Look, there's only one game that you're ever really worried about. And even going into training camp, obviously you have, 3 or back in the day 4 preseason games. The focus is whoever you're playing on week 1. You're not doing a ton of game planning on whatever team you're playing in the preseason. You look at last night's game, for example, Jacksonville and Vegas did 0 game planning for each other. You don't do that early on in the preseason. It just doesn't happen. You're trying to prepare yourself for whoever you play week 1. And honestly, as a player, when the schedule came out, I'd take a glance at it one time, see where our primetime games were, and then see where we're playing around the holidays. And that was it. I wasn't looking at it like, oh my gosh, we play all these great teams, because in my mind, as a player, as a competitor, we're going to beat all of them. So we're just going to focus on the one, whichever one is that next game, and then kind of go from there. You can't have a macro view of what's going on in the season because you've got to be singularly focused on whoever that opponent is that given week.
Love it. Great insight. Thank you.
Speaking of game 1 heading into the season, the Saints are heading into game 1 of the season without Sean Payton. What do you think is going to be the biggest adjustment for them right now? Their win total is set at 8, and to win the division, it's basically 3-1 odds at this point.
Well, I'm going to start with that 8 right there. That 8 is way too low. This is a team that won 9 games last year without a quarterback. So That 8 is like,
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet the house on that. But
Wow.
then you add to that, all of the guys that the Saints were able to acquire via the draft and free agency this year. Talking about Trevor Penning and Chris Olave and Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry and Marcus May. I mean, this is like one of the better off seasons that the Saints have had in a long time. And we're talking about a front office that has been one of the more successful front offices as far as personnel goes in the last decade. So, sure, Sean Payton's not going to be around. He's not going to be calling the plays. But look, this is not a first rodeo or first go-round for this organization without Sean Payton. 2012, obviously, Sean was suspended because of the Bountygate situation. Pete Carmichael was the offensive coordinator, has been for a long time, and called the plays that season. And one of the three of us that year had 1,000 yards that season. So I think that they have a guy that understands that offense like the back of his hand and knows how to call plays, knows how to get his playmakers the ball. And then you talk about the team in totality, not having Sean there. Dennis Allen has been the voice of that organization before, right? Last year, Sean was out with COVID. They go on the road to play in Tampa Bay on Sunday Night Football. And Dennis Allen is the guy that has basically recreated that defense and got them, basically balling. I mean, back in the day, it was all offense, and hopefully the defense doesn't give up as many points. And now this is like a total team that the defense is just as good, if not better, than the offense. And this isn't his first time as a head coach. I mean, I think he'll take all the lessons that he learned from 10 or 11 years ago when he was a coach for the Oakland Raiders and instill some of the things that he learned this time. It's going to be some similar messaging, but a different voice. There's going to be some different things that DA does that Sean didn't do. But I think this is a kind of a match made in heaven that they didn't have to recreate the culture there. They didn't bring somebody in that wanted to bring all of their people in. They kind of the continuity there is something that I think that this team is going to benefit from. And double-digit wins minimally is where I'm at. I would have put that number at 10 wins for the Saints because I think. I mean, we're not talking about 16-game seasons anymore, and 10-6 is pretty good. 10-7 to me is not a successful season for this roster. I'm looking at more like 12 wins for this team and potentially winning the division. I'm not quite sure to say that they're going to overtake Tampa Bay in the division because something always seems to kind of trip them up the last couple of years, except when they play against the Bucs, because we kind of have the Bucs number at least in the regular season.
Swept them. They swept them the last couple of years. It's crazy.
It's crazy
4-0 in the regular season against Brady.
But you know what? It's all about matchups, and this team matches up really, really well against Tampa Bay. And I could really go into what happened 2 years ago in the playoffs of reasons why the Saints lost that game, but we don't have time for that. But I do think that 12 wins for this team is. 12 wins is realistic. 11 wins is I'd be a little bit safer with my money for sure.
I was looking at that win total, and the reason that I stayed off of it, at least now, after your handicap, I might have to get back on it. They have a stretch in the middle of the season that is, and again, I know we just talked about it. You guys don't even look, the players don't even look at this, but as a handicapper, I have to. They have a stretch mid-season. It starts with an October 20th game at Arizona. Actually, if you go back a week further, it's a Sunday game against Cincinnati, the defending AFC champs. Then a short week, they travel to Arizona. Then Vegas, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Rams, Niners, at Bucs before their bye week in week 14. Now, they start with 3 divisional games, which I think is favorable for the Saints because, again, you talk about the continuity. They understand this division. They've been very good in the division, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Carolina, right out of the gate. But that meat of the schedule sandwich, Lance, looks really, really juicy. That doesn't concern you at all with this team?
I mean, if we're looking at it from that perspective, I guess. I mean, there's potential there to be slip-ups or potential there for a rut to happen in the season. But I just don't see this team losing that many games. I mean, obviously, look at my shirt. I mean, I'm pro Saints here, but I just don't see them being in a situation where they lose a game and then they go on this big, gigantic slide because they're playing a bunch of good teams. I mean, if you want to be a great team, you've got to beat great teams. You've got to go on the road and handle your business. I'm not sitting here saying that the Saints are going to go 17-0. I think I'm a little bit smarter than that, but I don't fear any team, and I don't think my team fears any team. I think they think that they've got the talent and the coaching and the personnel to be able to beat all these teams. So I don't know. I mean, I just think I'm very
It's a low win total. I mean, 9-8.
It's too low.
9-8
it's too low.
Is a win.
It's
so
it's way too low. It's way too low.
And a team that you said that they don't fear anybody, the Bucks, they have their number over the last couple of years. The Bucks win total right now is set at 11.5. Their Super Bowl odds are second favorite, right behind the Buffalo Bills. Do you see them as the best team in the NFC at this point? Because you look at a guy like Tom Brady. People usually go to Florida to retire. He goes to Florida and like gets younger. He's 45 and he's still throwing the ball like he's 28 years old. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, avocado ice cream will do that, I guess, or so.
There you go. That's the secret.
I'm still a big Ben and Jerry's guy, so I can't speak to that. But look, this roster is loaded, and you know the rich kind of get richer as far as what's going on with his pass catchers. I mean, you talk about an all-time great when you look at his numbers. And Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's going to be coming back from ACL surgery. They've signed Russell Gage in free agency, and guess who else they got a chance to sign? Julio Jones. So they've got it's not fair. A spoil of riches at the wide receiver position. And obviously you've got the GOAT and Tom Brady that's back there pulling the trigger, who everybody's saying is getting younger, but he hasn't done a better job of avoiding the sacks as he's gotten older. I mean, I still think there's opportunity to get after him, and the Saints have been able to get after those edge guys on the offensive line. But I think that Rob Gronkowski retiring is a bigger deal than people have kind of been letting on. Yeah. I mean, Tom obviously had a great rapport with Cameron Brate. O.J. Howard has made some plays, and they just recently signed Kyle Rudolph. So they've got some guys over there at the tight end position. But Tom losing his security blanket could have something to do with maybe their step back a little bit this year. But a step back for this team, it's funny because I have so much more confidence in that team in kind of the games where they're favored at times than I do the Saints. Like Tom Brady and those guys seem to go handle their business when they're supposed to, and the Saints usually have a game or two where they lose when you're like, how in the heck did they lose to this team? Last year, the New York Giants playing in Carolina. I mean, teams that the Saints were clearly better than, but they go out and lose those games. The Bucs don't do that. So 11.5 wins for this team is realistic. I think 12 wins is definitely a realistic thing. And that's why I think I'm not quite ready to say that the Saints could win this division, because Tampa Bay usually goes out and handles their business.
Yeah. Can I tell you one fun fact about this too? Not saying that this is correlated whatsoever, but every single year that J-Lo has gotten married, Tom Brady has won a championship.
Oh my
now,
gosh.
I'm not placing all my chips on Bettor this year, okay? But someone did has Chapel on July 18th in Vegas.
But I mean, how many times has she been married? I mean,
a lot
Several.
of times.
Okay.
So 1997, she married Omani Noah, like the music producer or whatever, and Brady won the championship at Michigan. 2001, J-Lo married Chris Judd. Brady was a starter. Drew Bledsoe got hurt in week 2. They ended up winning the Super Bowl against the Rams that year. 2004, J-Lo married Mark Anthony. Brady won a Super Bowl against the Panthers. Second Super Bowl win in 3 seasons. Now, he didn't do anything last time J-Lo married Ben Affleck, but you know what? Second time is the charm with Bennifer. Could there be good odds at 7-1 right now with the Bucks maybe winning the Super Bowl?
I mean, I think that's pretty good odds, 7-1. I mean, if you got a little bit of money that you just want to throw out there and see what happens.
Getting married again. Can I bet 7-1 on Jennifer Lopez getting married again? That would be a bet I would take.
But you know what? I think as you get a little bit older, you understand the things that you want. You need a little bit more. And if they hadn't had a previous relationship and marriage, then I could say, okay, yeah, this is a new guy. It's probably not going to work like the rest. But knowing that she went back to that Ben Affleck, well, I don't think it's going to happen.
We're getting it all today,
together.
We're getting all.
I know. Who knew that we could be entertainment and sports, entertainment and sports all in one? Lance, we so appreciate you waking up early, hanging out with us, giving us your preview of the NFC South this year. We're so appreciate your time. So thank you for coming on, and go back and get some sleep.
Oh no, I'm up now. My kids are up. I can hear them upstairs. So it's go time.
Breakfast time for the kids. Great stuff.
He's
Lance.
up and at 'em. That was Super Bowl champion Lance Moore, Saints legend, retiring a Saint after 10 years NFL career in the Saints Hall of Fame. Really awesome to be able to have him on. Speaking of the Saints, Jared, can I tell you one of my best bets heading into this season?
Give it to me.
The Saints finishing position second in the division at plus 120 on DraftKings. Why bet them to win the division when you could bet them as the obvious second best team at plus money? The Saints are head and shoulders at this point above the Panthers, above the Falcons, but I don't think personally they're talented enough to be able to finish top of the division. I'm not going to say it's a lock, but I definitely feel strongly about it. Saints finishing position at second in the division at plus 120 on DraftKings. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's intriguing because obviously Tampa Bay is odds on to win this division. And you're kind of handicapping the other two teams beneath New Orleans. And if we're uncertain on Carolina, let's be honest, Atlanta's a throwaway. If we're uncertain on Carolina, and it's really just, are the Bucks going to win the division? Odds say yes. Is Carolina going to be able to finish ahead of New Orleans? That's a tough ask, especially after what Lance Moore just said. So at plus money, I think that's a fantastic bet. I do.
Yeah, why not? And because you look at the Bucks, their odds to win the division, it's like minus 200 something. There's no value there. I would say if you do really like the Bucks to win the division, I would pair it with or parlay it with a team like the Bills winning the AFC East, right? I think it's closer to like minus 105 line if you pair those two together. I'd feel more confident in doing something like that. There's a little bit more value in it.
The division parlay, sharp action. Oh my God!
Let's go.
Hold on, I'll be honest. First of all, fun fact about Jared: I love parlaying division chalk because you're only competing against a small select number of teams, and those division odds tend to be pretty sharp. I'm seeing on DraftKings right now, Bucks, Bills to win their division at plus money. Coin flip, plus 102. I love that bet. I love that bet. Love that bet. It's interesting with the Bucks because now I haven't bet this yet. I did a video that's on Pickswise's YouTube site right now about the under with their win total. Now, when I look at 11.5, I think, okay, 12 wins I lose, so that's 12-5. And then I look at the first part of their schedule. Now, when I bet win totals, unlike Lance Moore and most likely the rest of the NFL players, I do look at the entire schedule, especially the first 4 to 6 weeks. If I'm betting it over, I want a team to have an easy start. I want to get off that number quick, and I want wins under my belt. I'll worry about the rest of the season later. If I'm betting it under, it's the opposite. I want them to have a tough part to their start of the season. Listen to these first 4 games for the Bucks. At Dallas, at New Orleans, versus Green Bay, versus Kansas City. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes at the Saints, who they've lost to 4 straight in regular season, and at Dallas on opening night, SNF, NBC primetime game with Dak Prescott and that Cowboys team. So that's a really tough start to a team that is a veteran team. You would expect them to have a longer-term outlook on the season. We don't care about weeks 1 through 4. We care about weeks 19, 20, 21, and 22, which is the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I haven't bet this yet. I don't know if I'm going to get to the window on this. But if I had to bet a win total in this division, I think the under 11.5 with the Bucks would be my first look. Now I'm going to have to take a closer look at New Orleans after what Lance Moore just said. But it's a high number and a very publicly bet team. So the value you would think would be to the under because you would think 11 is probably fair if people are betting the over with Brady. But under 11.5 is intriguing to me. What do you think?
I mean, they finished with 13 wins last season. I don't think that you can bet against Tom Brady. So I don't know how I feel about the under there. I'm not betting anything under when it comes to Tom Brady. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Now listen, hold on. I have one follow-up before we get into your Super Bowl pick. at some point, Father Time is going to win this battle against Tom Brady at some point, right? You can only eat so much avocado ice cream. Like,
I think that he's going to retire before that happens.
That's
he
fair.
knows his body. He's going to retire before that happens.
That's fair.
He's not going to be a Ben Roethlisberger that's throwing absolute trash his last year. You know what I mean?
Quack like, last year with Duck City.
Yeah. Like Tom Brady's not going to play a season if he's going to be looking like Ben Roethlisberger did last season. That's all I got to say.
That's fair.
And I kind of already
Let's just leave it at this. I'm not
Super
betting
Bowl
this.
pick.
I'm not fading the Bucks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bet this. But it's just the first part of their schedule is really tough. It's really tough.
Yeah. And I kind of already capped my Bucks thought, not just Bennifer, but also the fact that they kind of kept their core the same. Gronk, they're really high on him, maybe returning from retirement because Tom Brady did it. Why wouldn't Gronk do it? The rumors that I'm hearing around town are that he might be coming back and playing the season with this team.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's not true. We're going to see. But they won 11 games under Tom Brady in 2020, 13 last year. Todd Bowles promoted from defensive coordinator to head coach after Bruce Arians is gone. They added Russell Gage. Probably no Chris Godwin for a while because of knee surgery. They're optimistic about Gronk's return. They won the NFC South by 4 games last year. I think that they're going to be able to repeat this year. The odds aren't the prettiest to gamble on, so that's why I like partnering it with the Bills. But I know they have one of the tougher schedules. It's going to prepare them. They're going to be battle tested once it comes time for the playoffs because they are playing some of the best teams in the NFL. I think they could win the Super Bowl. I'm only putting a half unit on it, but also pairing that with Bennifer and that trend is my friend,
That's
Jared.
the best handicap you've ever given on this show.
Thank you.
Honestly,
I really appreciate that.
I'm glad you pointed my gaze to that division parlay because I am very high on the Bills this year. And the rest of that division, I think, is trash. Like, honestly, the AFC East, now Miami's going to be okay, but
they're
a lot
bad.
of questions. The Jets and then the Patriots, I think, are down. So the Bills are going to walk that division. And then you look at the South, and, it runs through Tampa, and to get plus money on that parlay, that's going in my preseason futures column that will drop soon. And you are getting a massive shout for that, my friend. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, let's get into our best bets of the day, the 3-star play of the day. But before we do, talk about PLL, Jared. What do we got this weekend?
PLL, Charlie White. Charlie White is hot right now. 8-1 on his best bets in the last 3 game weeks. He's got 3 more on the site for this week. We have 1 game tonight, Cannons Woods, 9 o'clock Eastern on the big boy, ESPN. And one of Charlie's best bets in that game is the under 24 in the hook. And then, oh, by the way, 3 games on the plus tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Eastern, 4:40 Eastern. So if you got nothing to do tomorrow, turn on the plus, watch some PLL, and check out the Pickswise bets because, again, Charlie White is en fuego.
Pickswise.com. Make sure to check it out. We also have a lot of 3-star play of the days when it comes to soccer across the pond. So make sure to check it out on the Pickswise.com website. All right, our best bets of the day. I'm going to start it out with Patrick Sandoval. You bet his walk props in your walk this way parlay. I'm betting his over strikeout prop, over 5.5 at plus 108. I know this season he's hampered by a high walk rate, but he's still capable of punching guys out. Last time he played Seattle, struck out 6 guys in his first meeting against them this season, and he gets them without J-Rod here. So he just has to not give up too many runs early and not get too many early walks, just enough to be able to hit your walk this way parlay to run up his pitch count. But I think he could still hit this. He has 43 strikeouts in his last 35 2/3 innings pitched. He only needs to really make it through 5 1/3 innings for 5 1/3, 5 and maybe 2/3 innings for the most part to be able to hit this. And then you look at a team like Seattle, they're averaging 8.55 strikeouts per game. They punched out 9 times in their last game. I feel pretty good about this one and getting it at plus money. Also, I've hit 3 straight play of the days, hopefully making it 4 heading into tonight. So Sandoval, baby, over 5.5 plus 108. Lock it in. You have a NRFI for yours at even money.
Yeah, I really like this price. Even odds. Red Sox Royals, the R alliteration game here. Winkowski, Greinke, good numbers too, combined 23-3 to the NRFI this season. How about this? And, you don't consider Zach Greinke is this like overpowering pitcher. But he mixes it up. He throws the soft stuff really well. And he's 71-20 to the NRFI since 2019. That's almost 80%. That is a really good NRFI rate for, again, a guy that doesn't have that overpowering, dominant fastball that's going to blow you away in the early innings. And this season, 88% NRFI rate. Again, 23 out of 26 games have gone NRFI between these two guys this year. And with the odds sitting at plus 100, even odds, that's a big gap. 50% implied odds, 88% implied NRFI rate. Love that big gap there, plus EV. Now let's look at the lineups. Let's see if it correlates. Boston, slightly above average on the road, 31%. Not great, but slightly above average, which is right at around 28, 29% this season. And when you look at Kansas City, below average at home this year at 26%. And then, oh, by the way, no Whit Merrifield at the top of the lineup. So even that 26% at home, minus a little bit more from that because their best leadoff guy, maybe their best overall hitter, no longer on the team, traded to Toronto. If you look more recent at the very short sample size, well, both of these teams scored yesterday. And what do we like? We like back and forth 50-50. That's been the proposition all season with these bets. And prior to that, both teams were mired in a 10 consecutive game first inning scoreless drought. So yesterday broke the drought. Prior to that, it was like the Sahara Desert. Hopefully today we get back to no score. And oh, by the way, Josh Winkowski has never faced anyone in this Royals lineup. So I love betting on guys with a fresh look. They've never seen him before. And we talked about Greinke. He's been fabulous with this statistic over the last few years. So I will take the coin flip. Boston, Kansas City, NRFI. Pretty decent number, I think. I would imagine minus 110, minus 120. Probably I would play this up to that. But at even odds, I feel really good about it.
I absolutely love it. Happy Friday, guys. That's it for us today. No show this weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday. No. Jared's going to make his cross-country trip. He'll be in Vegas the next time we talk to him on Tuesday. So that's it for us today, guys. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Lauren Javara, best of luck tonight. We'll see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend. Let's get it. Let's bet it.